Hello, and welcome back to Listen to Talk, the English podcast for everyone who wants to learn and improve their English. My name is Roy, and I am your host. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Luna, and she has a wonderful story to share about how she learned English. Welcome to the show, Luna.
Thank you, Roy. It's great to be here.
So, Luna, our listeners are always keen to hear how other people have successfully learned English. It gives them hope and maybe some good ideas. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you start learning English?
Yes, of course. Well, I started learning English when I was quite young, maybe around 10 years old.
That's a good age to start. Was it at school?
Yes, it was part of the school curriculum in my country. We had English classes a few times a week.
And what were those classes like? Were they helpful?
They were okay. We learned some basic grammar, like the verb to be and simple present tense. We also learned some common words, like hello, goodbye, thank you, and numbers.
So, the very basics.
Exactly. We used a textbook, and the teacher would often speak in our native language to explain things. It was a good introduction, but I didn't feel like I could really speak English after just those classes.
That's a common feeling for many learners. So what happened next? What made you want to learn more?
Well, when I was a bit older, maybe 12 or 13, I started watching American TV shows.
Oh, which shows were popular then?
I really liked a show called Friends. It was very popular all over the world.
Friends, a classic. Many people have learned English by watching that show. What did you like about it?
I liked the characters, and the stories were funny. At first it was difficult to understand what they were saying because they spoke so fast. I had to read the subtitles in my own language.
So you watched with subtitles. That's a good way to start.
Yes, it was. But after a while, I started to notice some words and phrases that they used often. I would hear a word, and then I would read it in the subtitles, and slowly I started to connect the sounds with the meanings.
That's a great way to build your vocabulary. Did you try to repeat what they were saying?
Sometimes, yes, especially the funny lines. I would try to say them along with the actors. It probably sounded terrible, but it was fun, and I think it helped my pronunciation a little bit.
Practice is key. So, TV shows were a big part of your learning. What else did you do?
Music was also very important for me. I started listening to a lot of British and American singers.
Who were some of your favorite artists?
I loved listening to Taylor Swift, who is American, and also a British band called Coldplay.
Great choices. How did listening to music help you?
Just like with the TV shows, I would listen to the songs and try to understand the lyrics. Sometimes I would look up the lyrics online and read them while I listened. This helped me learn new words and also understand how English sentences are structured.
That's a fantastic idea. Music is a very engaging way to learn. Did you ever try to sing along?
Oh yes, all the time. Even if I didn't know all the words, I would try my best. Singing helped me with my rhythm and intonation in English.
So you used both visual and auditory learning methods, watching TV and listening to music. What about reading and writing?
Reading came a bit later. After I had built up some vocabulary from TV and music, I started to read simple English books.
What kind of books did you start with?
I started with children's books. They use very simple language and have lots of pictures, which can help you understand the meaning of new words. I remember reading a book called The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. It's a very famous book for young children.
Yes, it is. A great choice for beginners.
After that, I moved on to slightly more difficult books, like stories for teenagers. I also started reading articles online, simple news stories and things like that.
And what about writing? When did you start writing in English?
Writing was the most difficult part for me. I started by writing simple sentences and short paragraphs. Sometimes I would try to write about the episodes of Friends that I had watched, or about the songs that I liked.
That's a good way to practice. Did you have anyone to correct your writing?
Not really at that time, but I think just the act of trying to put my thoughts into English words helped me a lot. I would sometimes look up how to say certain things online or in a dictionary.
So you were quite independent in your learning.
Yes, I was. I was very motivated because I really enjoyed the TV shows and the music. I wanted to understand them better.
That intrinsic motivation is so important. It makes learning much easier and more enjoyable. Did you ever feel frustrated or discouraged?
Oh, definitely. There were many times when I felt like I wasn't making any progress. Sometimes I would watch a whole episode of a TV show and still not understand much of it. Or I would try to read an article and get stuck on many words.
What did you do when you felt like that? How did you keep going?
I think the key was to not give up. I would remind myself why I started learning English in the first place. Because I enjoyed it, and I would try to focus on the small progress that I was making. Maybe one day I would understand a few more words in a song than I did the day before. Or maybe I could read a simple sentence without having to look up every word.
That's a great attitude. Focusing on the small wins can really help you stay motivated.
Exactly. And I also found that talking to other people who were learning English helped a lot. I joined some online forums and chat groups where people from all over the world were practicing their English.
That's a fantastic idea. Connecting with other learners.
Yes, it was great. We would ask each other questions, share tips, and just practice speaking English by typing messages to each other. It wasn't the same as speaking face-to-face, but it was still good practice.
It's a good way to build confidence in using the language. Did you ever have the opportunity to speak English with native speakers?
Yes, eventually I did. When I was about 16, my family went on a holiday to London.
Oh, that must have been exciting.
It was amazing. It was the first time I had ever been to an English-speaking country. At first, I was very nervous to speak English with people. I was worried that I would make mistakes or that they wouldn't understand me.
That's a very common fear.
Yes, but everyone I spoke to was very kind and patient. Even when I made mistakes, they would still try to understand me. And it was so exciting to be able to actually use the English that I had been learning for so many years.
That must have been a very rewarding experience.
It was. It really boosted my confidence. After that trip, I felt much more motivated to continue learning and improving my English.
So that real-world experience made a big difference. What other things did you do to improve your English after that?
I continued to watch TV shows and movies in English, but this time I tried to watch them without subtitles more often. If I didn't understand something, I would go back and watch it again with subtitles.
That's a good way to challenge yourself.
Yes. I also started reading more challenging books and articles. I even tried reading some English novels.
Which novels did you read?
One of the first novels I read was The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. It was a bit difficult at first, but I really enjoyed the stories.
A classic British novel. Well done.
Thank you. And I also started listening to English naming podcasts.
Like this one.
Exactly. Podcasts are great because you can listen to them anywhere, on the bus, while you're doing housework, etc. And there are podcasts on so many different topics, so you can find something that interests you.
That's a great tip for our listeners. What kind of podcast did you listen to?
I listened to a variety of podcasts. Some were about news and current events, some were about science, and some were about learning English.
Excellent. So you used a wide range of resources to learn English.
Yes, I tried to immerse myself in the language as much as possible. I changed the language settings on my phone and computer to English. I even started thinking in English sometimes.
That's a sign of real progress. When you start thinking in the language, it means you're becoming very comfortable with it.
I think so. And I also tried to find opportunities to speak English whenever I could. I joined a local English conversation club where I could meet other learners and practice speaking in a relaxed environment.
That's a great way to improve your fluency and confidence in speaking.
It really helped. And I also made some good friends there.
So, Luna, you've shared so many great tips and insights into how you learned English. To summarize, it sounds like you used a combination of school lessons, TV shows, music, reading, writing, online communities, travel, and a lot of personal motivation.
Yes, that's right. It was a long journey and it took a lot of time and effort, but it was definitely worth it.
What would you say was the most important thing that helped you learn English?
I think the most important thing was that I enjoyed the process. Because I was interested in the TV shows and the music, learning English didn't feel like a chore. It felt like fun.
That's such a valuable point. Learning should be enjoyable.
And I think it's also important to be patient with yourself and not to be afraid of making mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes when they are learning a new language. It's part of the process. The important thing is to keep practicing and to learn from your mistakes.
That's excellent advice. So, for our listeners who are just starting their English learning journey, what are your top 3 tips?
Okay, my top 3 tips for beginners. Find something you enjoy in English. It could be TV shows, movies, music, books, or even YouTube videos. When you are interested in the content, you will be more motivated to learn. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how you learn. Just keep practicing and don't let fear stop you from speaking. Be consistent. Try to practice English every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Little and often is better than long sessions every now and then.
Those are fantastic tips, Luna. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your advice with us today. It's been truly inspiring.
Thank you for having me, Roy. It was a pleasure to be here.
And to all our listeners, we hope you found Luna's story helpful and encouraging. Remember, learning English takes time and effort, but with the right approach and a positive attitude, you can achieve your goals. Keep listening to Listen to Talk for more tips and conversations to help you on your English learning journey. That's all for this episode. Join us next time for more English learning fun. Until then, happy learning!